Good news for all of you Swifties that watch my channel. Taylor's back on the Covrprice Top 10 this week. Let's take a look at what books made it and why on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps the algorithm, gets more people to watch these videos if you enjoy this content. I really do appreciate it. Also, follow me on the other socials, Instagram at Bronzeville_comics, on Whatnot at Bronzeville_comics, where we do sales every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, there's a link in the description of this video. If you've not yet signed on to Whatnot, you'll get $10 off your first purchase, regardless of who it is with. Also, a link in my to my eBay store, as well as my email. So let's just dive right into it. We're going to take a look at the Covrprice Top 10, the top 10 most sold books for the week of January 8th, 2024. And coming in at number 10, once again on the list, this book just won't stop. Godzilla #1 from Marvel Comics, 1977. The first appearance, really, in story of Godzilla. He had appeared in previous in a Life with Archie book and photos from one of his movies. I think it was the Godzilla versus Kong movie back in the 60s. Were in a magazine. But this is really the first Godzilla story. And we can see that, you need high-grade raw copies. People are buying anywhere from, $30 all the way up to $150. And we see about $450 to $500 is a CGC 9.8. And if we look at the data in the 9.8, again, there are 3,000 universal copies. 20% of them are 9.8s, which is pretty impressive for a book from 1977. It's also a book that historically people would not slab for lower prices. I mean, look at this. Somebody bought one at $588 for a fixed price. A Heritage auction went for $456, but it's getting north of $500 now, like fairly consistently, which makes me jealous that I sold my copy for $425 just a month ago because the movie had hit. I've said it before. I saw the Godzilla -1 film, loved it, and I think that was a film, and I said it at the time that it was going to do well by word of mouth, and sure enough it did. So we could see it jumped during the boom, and then kind of had this slow trail down, and then bam, it has been on fire for really the last, I would say, 2 months. It's been rising, so it keeps jumping onto this list. Let's go to number 9. Daredevil, number 9, the first appearance of Echo. This is Daredevil Volume 2, of course. And the Echo TV series is dropping on Disney Plus today. I guess it dropped yesterday. I'm going to be watching it after I finish recording this video. And it's the first appearance of Maya Lopez, who becomes Echo in number 11. But this is considered a first appearance. You're going to have to pay in the $70 range for a high-grade raw. Now, let's take a look at what this book has done. It's a much more modern book than the Godzilla book. So what that means is ever since, and I think it was at San Diego Comic-Con in 2019, or maybe even 2018, that it was announced there was going to be a series of Echo, and now finally here in 2024, we get it. But, it's a more modern book. It's from 1999. And we can see there are 2,500 universal copies, more than 50% of them 9/8s. And the 9/8s have jumped up, but I mean, let's take a look. This, I imagine, April 2021 went up to $900 for a 9.8. And we've been on the downslide ever since. And it's kind of leveled off in the $200 range, which is pretty solid, pretty impressive for a 1999 book. A book that, is out there. But of course, 1999 was interesting in Marvel. That's when Marvel was like treading water and barely staying afloat. So I don't think the print counts were as high. So compared to books like from 5 or 10 years later, or certainly 5 or 10 years earlier, there are probably fewer copies that exist. I'm not real sure of the print counts of this book, but we'll see how this book maintains over the long run. The show, all the episodes dropped at once, which usually does not bode well for the secondary market in comic books, a la Netflix series. And we can see it's been pretty stable for the last year, in terms of its value. Not a whole lot of fluctuation. And actually, if we look at the books recently, I guess my feeling is a whole bunch of folks in the last week have put them up for sale on eBay. I mean, look at all these auctions ending over the last several days. So that is, the show just came out, people trying to get the most value. They should have done it a week ago when there were fewer copies available. And maybe, we'll see how a lot of people were excited about the series. We'll see how it plays out. Number 8 on the list. Here we go. Dazzler #1, the first ongoing series of Dazzler, Taylor Swift rumors, Deadpool 3, yada, yada, yada. You have heard it so many times before. I don't think it really bears reiterating. But $25 for a high grade raw, over $200 for a CGC 9.8. And again, if we look at, I just need to refresh because this page has been up there, 1,651 copies on the census. Just under a quarter of them are 9.8s, which is late bronze, 1981. Although since this book for 1981 was distributed only through comic shops, which limited the print count a little bit, but there were plenty of them printed. Basically, I think you had to, it was almost like a door fee. You had to almost buy the book to get into the comic shop. I mean, it was like, everybody's like, you gotta get Dazzler #1. And if we look at the trends here, and it continues, look at this, it just continues to climb up and climb up. I mean, this was a book that, at the peak of the boom was at $240, and now it's at the same price. It's kind of, it went down, but it didn't go too far down. I mean, half, which still is impressive for, something, but it didn't boom too high either. This is not her first appearance. So, yeah, I think it in terms of the spec, it's going to go, if she's in the movie, it's going to go one of 3 ways. Either it's just a cameo of her as herself, that she will play Dazzler, or perhaps Lady Deadpool. If she does play Dazzler, is she going to continue that role in the MCU going forward? We shall see. But this book it won't be stopped. Let's go to the next book on the list, Uncanny XMen 221, the first appearance of Mr. Sinister. A great cover. Unfortunately, Mr. Sinister is not on it. So we can see that this book, somebody bought it raw for $224. That is out of their minds. Up to about $300 and a 9.8, which makes me happy because I do have a 9.8. But that's a PC book right now. Let's take a look at the trend. Just under 8,000 universal copies. Almost a quarter of them are 9.8s and a couple 9.9s. And if we look at how this book has trended over time, it did, pre-boom, it was just around a little under $200, shot up to about $600, and has been on that slow decline ever since. And then it's just jumped up a little bit recently, where now, you look at the most recent sales, all in the $300 range. Somebody did get a nice deal on the 30th for $275, but everything else in the $300 range over the last several weeks. And if we look at the reason behind this, what Go Collect tells us, the Disney Plus series of X-Men 97 is coming soon. The rumor was it would release in January. However, Marvel announced a prequel comic set to debut in March, which led many to believe the series would debut after the comic, which is just going to kind of prolong the hype for this book. And I don't think it's entirely based on the animated series. If we do see the X-Men mutants in the MCU, Mr. Sinister is a good villain for them to go up against. Let's go to number 6, I should say. And that's Predator Wolverine versus Wolverine #4. This is the second time it's on the list with all these Wolverine heads on the Predator's wall, and also like a claw and stuff, adamantium skull. Just a Joshua Cassaro 1/25 cover that came out a couple of weeks ago. High grade books in the $50 range. We're not seeing any slabbed sales yet. series received little attention until its actual debut. And actually, these crossovers seem to be very popular. You have the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, which is a highly popular series that DC is doing. And you have two like really well-beloved pop culture characters in Predator and Wolverine. Intriguing cover makes readers question just how this match between the two lethal hunters will end. So, yeah, about $50 for a Raw. And for a 1 in 25, but just it Wolverine's popular, Predator's popular. Let's see where it ends up. Let's go to number 5. And here we are again, beneath the trees where nobody sees. Number 1. This has been out for a few months now. Issue number 3 is coming out very soon. This is the book. You look at 9.8 at $190, near mint copies at $75. Over $50 for a raw copy right now of number 1. This is just everybody is jumping on the bandwagon. You have a virgin 1 in 25 for issue number 1. You have a second print that's going for over $25. Everybody, it seems, wants a copy of this book. When is issue now? Issue number 2. Issue number 2 came out, and that's been on the list before too. And people who want to read this, are trying to get this. Because few people pre-ordered this. The FOC on this, my comic store, it's coming out not till February 7th, issue number 3. My comic store said nobody really ordered this as an FOC. And so he did order some copies and sold some of them online when it got hot, and I don't think he held on to any for now, but yeah, I didn't even get a copy of number 1. This anthropomorphic animal serial killer story. People seem to love these new anthropomorphic animal stories. Animal Pound is doing well. And of course, a couple of years ago, we had Stray Dogs, but this has been a phenomenon. And if we look to see at 9.8s coming to market, again, they're going to be more. There are 40 now, 35 of those in the 9.8. And the 9.8s are selling for about $150. We saw one sell for 200, one as low as 80 at auction, but that was like a month ago. This most recent sale, I'm not exactly sure what the best offer was, but I still think with only 40 copies slabbed in a month, how many are going to be slabbed? Double that, triple that easily. I would guess it's going to be fun to kind of keep track of as we go along, as long as this book stays on the hot list. Let's go to number 4. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8. This book is worth $100 plus easily in almost any grade, and much more in a high grade. You see, like in the $600 range, approaching $600 in a 9.8. And let's see where that goes historically. Now, I will say there's a caveat here, and there's something interesting in terms of how the market has reacted. Look at this uptick, right? Now, why is that? This is before, I believe, these sales occurred before there's any announcement about Venom 3. The video game, the Spider-Man 2 video game, maybe has something to do with it. Symbiotes are going to play some role at some point in the MCU, I would imagine. And this is a perpetually relevant book, a popular book. But I do find it interesting, this uptick. So we'll see if we go back to, look at all these copies sold in the $600+ range. Now, if we go to last year, one for $700 on eBay, right? It's at the very least, I would say it's held its value since the turn of the new year. And that is with the news about the slabbing controversy. So, I don't know how many direct edition 9.8s were on the list of the 350 affected books, but this was a book that was one of the books that the reholder scammer took advantage of to go from 9.6s to 9.8s. And I think that if we look at the newsstand, that's a little more kind of where the scam was headed, at least with other similar books. my point being, the market is showing us that the people who are saying CGC is dead may not be right. It looks as though that first, it's still there's still collectors out there that want graded copies, high grade copies. They want 9.8s. And I guess either they're not fully aware of the scam that was perpetuated, or they think that the probability that the book they're getting is unlikely to be a part of that. Let's go to number 3 up. This pops up every once in a while. It's always around because there's so many copies and people want it. Spawn number 1. $25 to $40 for a high grade book. About $150 and a 9.8. Let's track this over time. Again, there are how many? 24,000 graded copies, and almost half of them, about 46%, in a 9.8. I honestly don't think this is a book that's worth getting graded unless it's a 9.8. I have a 9.8. So it's been steady around 150. We saw an auction go for 182, and that's really a positive sign. Again, a very strong slab sale, generally speaking. And if we look at the other price points here, auctions in this market the final sales tend to be below fixed price. Just the way that it is. So to have an auction at 182, which is higher than the most recent fixed price best offer sales, is pretty strong. And again, a number of sales of slabs in a 9.8. Not one of the books I don't think that was targeted, but this also is a book. There are plenty of them out there. And in terms of grading, it's possible to get a high grade raw and maybe get a 9.8 out of it. So let's look to number 2 on the list. And here we go again. Female Force number 1, the Taylor Swift Dazzler 20 homage, limited to 100. I don't even know what to say about this. Somebody's paying $90 for this book. The Swifties are strong, and they don't play. Taylor Swift comic debuted to commemorate her Eras Tour, attempting to capture the superstar's career in a brief 26-page comic book. This book released several variants, some selling as high as $200. This particular copy pays homage to Dazzler number 20. I didn't even know that. I have like 2 issues of Dazzler. I have the first issue, and I have the Secret Wars 2 crossover, where the Beyonder was like questioning what it is to be human and asking a lot of questions. And I think what he was questioning then is, why does Dazzler still have her own comic? A great cover of both Dazzler and Taylor Swift. The Deadpool 3 rumors continue to fuel the fire for Taylor Swift's appearance in the film. 101 copies sold. That's interesting. 101 copies sold. It was limited to 100 copies. Put on your tinfoil hats and do the math there, my friends. Let's go to number 1. Oh, that was number... Oh, no. Number 1 is Kid Venom Origins. Number 1, the Luciano Vecchio Surprise 1 per store edition. It came out just a week ago. High-grade copy selling for $40. The regular, just about cover price. Let's look at... I don't know anything about this book. There's nothing like a surprise variant to make waves in the aftermarket. Kid Venom Origins number 1 was released this past week, but the retailer incentive cover wasn't the most sought-after cover. The title went to the 1 per store variant that no one was expecting. It's a great cover to a one-shot story about the origin of Marvel's newest edition. The rarity of this issue will also make it that much more desirable. We tracked 118 copies sold, 7-day trend 123%, with a high sale of $44 for a raw copy, and a current raw near mint fair market value of $39. So there's our top 10 list. I just want to peep real quick at the runners-up list. So we have Marvel Meow, number 1. Okay. Death in the Venomverse, number 1. Kid Venom coverage. I guess people are loving Kid Venom as much as they're loving them some Spider-Boy. This book I like. Shazam number 7, the David Nakayama Mary Marvel negative space variant. That's a book. I should pick that up. It's expensive. I'll wait on that. Here we have a Nate Zerdy 1 in 25 Birds of Prey with Black Canary and Harley Quinn getting all tatted up. At least they're not invulnerable, so tats make sense. I picked this book. I don't know if I picked up the version of this, though. The Stanley Archerm Lau Magic Virgin variant. No, I didn't pick up a 1 in 50. Spider-Man 2099 stays strong. Omega Man number 3 won't quit. Daredevil number 11. This is the issue where Maya Lopez becomes Echo. Number 19, Hush. Hush is the first appearance of Tommy Elliott, who becomes Hush. Rumors stay strong that he's going to be the villain in Batman 2. We shall see. And Kid Venom Origins, the 1 in 25 Torrin Clark variant. So those are the hot books for this week. Let me know what you think of these books. Are there any of these books you want? Any of these books that you don't want? You know, and there's always, I find interesting looking at the difference between the current hot book and the established key that has hot for one reason or another. The established key is kind of the book that I would look to get on a deal. All of those books, Spawn number 1, to a lesser degree, Dazzler 1, but X-Men 221, even Godzilla 1, they're all going to be keys for a long time to come. I think the Dazzler 1 is the one that's on the shakiest ground in terms of its holding its value long term, just because it's entirely fueled by Taylor Swift spec, and that could go in any direction in terms of how it would affect the value of the book. The brand new books, historically speaking, they generally don't hold their value. And when they first come to market, like we're seeing with Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees number 1, there is a very small supply and a fairly high demand. Once that demand gets met and the demand either stays kind of where it is or diminishes a little bit and the supply increases, basic economics means the price will come down. So if you're really into that book, you can probably wait. So, but don't take my advice. Buy what you want. Do your own research. I'm just bringing you the top 10 list here, and we're having some fun taking a look at it. For those of you that are concerned that my room is getting like messed up again, I'm just putting boxes up on tables because we are expecting heavy rain tonight and potential flooding. So don't want the comic books to be hurt. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. You can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.